snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys, so I am here today to do a humongous book haul, and I know in my last book haul I said I was not going to buy very many books, so not to expect another book haul very soon. However, that has completely changed. I had a moment of weakness and I splurged and bought a ton of books, like a ton of books. So I have a book haul, which is good because I love doing book hauls. I really enjoy them. I love talking to you guys and seeing what you think about the books I buy. So even though I wasn't meant to really splash out and buy them, I'm not on an official book ban, so oh well. I just won't buy any for a little while in the future because I don't need to because I've got tons. So let's get started. I think I have over 20 books to show you guys, so there are quite a few. The first 4 books that I'm going to show you guys are actually books that I have indeed already read, so that is a good thing, and they're just books that I wanted to get as part of my collection because I didn't have the physical books yet. I couldn't find book number 7 of Wheel of Time anywhere, so I don't have that yet, and I will be on the lookout for this edition of 7. But I have now got 8, which is The Path of Daggers, 9, which is Winter's Heart, 10, which is Crossroads of Twilight, and 11, which is Knife of Dreams. So I've read this one and I've read 8. I've also read 7, which I don't have yet. But I have yet to read number 10 and 11. I've heard very good things about 11 and not so much good stuff about number 10. Basically, number 10 is seen by many as the worst one in the series, but I'm going to try and power through it in the month of February and see how we go. Obviously this is the continuation of the Wheel of Time series, so I'm not going to tell you guys what it's about, but it is a crazy epic series because it's 14 books long and it's a massive, massive adventure of a huge world that is really fleshed out with some great world building, cultures, characters, all sorts of cool things going on. So if you do like the sound of that, then the first book is The Eye of the World and you should start there. I am hoping to be able to finish up Wheel of Time this year. I'm really upset that they've changed the covers because I actually don't really like the new covers and I can never find these editions. So all of the books that I'm going to show you guys have all come from second-hand bookshops. For example, 99% of them are from World of Books, which is a UK-based charity who recycle books and they do free shipping, so that is amazing. And I bought most of these books from them. 1 or 2 of them I got off the Amazon marketplace, so again, second-hand. If you don't mind shopping second-hand, I would highly advise that you check out World of Books if you are UK-based, because they are wonderful for fantasy, and they have a great selection of fantasy and sci-fi books. The next book that I'm going to show you guys is The Hero and the Crown. This is by Robin McKinley. And I have heard good things about Robin McKinley. I don't really know anything by her. This is a really tiny book. When I got it, I thought it was going to be a lot bigger, but it's actually really tiddly. The type inside, however, is also very tiny, so I don't know how well you guys can see it, but the type inside is really tiddly. So even though it's only 300-ish pages, it's probably more like a 400 or 500 page book because of how tiny the type is. It says on the back, Erin was only child to the King of Damar, but her mother was a witchwoman of the north, and no true Damarian could trust one with blood so tainted. Yet Erin, tall, awkward, independent, red-haired, was destined to become Erin Firehair, wielder of Gontruan, the Blue Sword, slayer of Mor, the Black Dragon, and the evil mage Agstead, restorer to the royal line of the hero's crown, an inspiration and a legend to her people, memorably human, but rather more than mortal. I don't know, it sounds pretty interesting, it sounds good, and I've heard good things about Robin McKinley, so if you do want to see me pick this up sometime very soon, let me know in the comments. As with all of these books, any that you see that you want me to read soon and review, definitely let me know, highlight those ones to me so I can get to those ones quicker. I really like the cover illustration of this one. I am aware that you guys can't see really detailed on this because my camera's not brilliant, so I will be putting up pictures for you guys to check this out in more detail, but I really like the old style fantasy cover of this one, and I think the colour scheme and the little castle in the back is just all so beautiful. Really love this cover, so quite happy about this. As you can see, mine's got a tiny rip here, which is because it's second-hand, but the whole book is in great condition other than that, so I'm not really fussed. The next book that I have is one that I needed to pick up for February, and that is Dead House Gates by Stephen Erickson. We will be doing a read-along of this. When I say we, I mean me and all of the others who joined me for the Gardens of the Moon read-along. I'm super excited to be continuing on with this series, and I probably will be reading one of these a month until we get the series finished. It's a 10-book series. It will take up a large amount of the year, but Dead House Gates is the second one in that series, and it's a good 1,000-ish pages, so it is bigger than the last one, which was 700 pages. And February is a shorter month, so it's going to be a challenge. Plus, we're also reading The Red Knight, which is the first one in another series, in February. So if you are interested in either joining us for Dead House Gates or joining us for The Red Knight, which I hauled in my last book haul, then do go ahead and check out the link. I will put it down below to the Goodreads group where you can join in and you can discuss these two books with us. Even if you've already read it and you just want to join in discussing, feel free to. We love to have people join in, and it's so much fun to discuss books together. So again, if you are interested, that link will be down below and you guys can go and join. Again, I won't spoil what this one is about. It's about the Malazan Empire and all of their kind of exploits and trying to take over the last few bits of the world that Malazan doesn't actually control yet. That's the first book. Second book, I don't know yet because I've not read it, but I'm super excited. The cover is pretty intensely orange and scary and fiery, and it's got hounds on it, so pretty interested in where this is going to go in the future. I'm sure it's going to be a very enjoyable read, and I'm looking forward to diving back into the world and continuing on with this series. Next, I have had a lot of you guys, like absolutely loads of you guys, have recommended to me Jacqueline Carey, who is the author of Cushel's Dart and many other series, I believe. I've not read anything by Jacqueline Carey. I don't really know anything about her, but this one is one that people kept messaging me and kept commenting on my videos and saying, have you read this series? You should read this series. And so, even though I hate this cover, like I just don't like it at all, I think it's terrible, I am really intrigued in the story, and I'm really intrigued in picking up something by Jacqueline Carey because everyone seems to like her. It says on the back of this, when love cast me out, it was cruelty who took pity on me. The land of Ter Deang is a place of unsurpassing beauty and grace. It is said that angels found the land and saw it was good, and the ensuing race that rose from the seed of angels and men lived by one simple rule: love as thou wilt. Phaedra No Delaunay is a young woman who was born with a scarlet mote in her left eye. Sold into indentured servitude as a child, her bond is purchased by Anaphel Delaunay, a nobleman with a special mission, and the first one to recognise who and what she is. One pricked by Cushel's dart, chosen to forever experience pain and pleasure as one. So it sounds a bit crazy. I really don't know what it's going to be about. It does look a little bit on the sexy side of things, so interested in that, but obviously if it's about love and pain, that kind of makes sense. I do believe that this is the debut by Jacqueline Carey, so I am really interested. Yeah, I don't really know anything about this, but it's a pretty chunky book. I do love diving into a chunky book. This one's almost 1,000 pages. It's just over 900. So again, pretty intense. I believe this is the first one in the series. I'm not entirely sure, but I am very interested to get into this sometime. So if you have read this, again, let me know what you think. Let me know if I should read this, and thank you guys for recommending it, because I did pick it up. So I always do listen to what you guys say, and if lots of you are recommending a certain thing to me, I do tend to go and pick it up because I am intrigued. So the next 3 books you guys might recognise if you have watched my latest cover chat. Again, I will link cover chat, Larry Rostand's version, down below, which is the latest one I've done. And whilst I was researching for that cover chat video about Larry Rostand and his covers, I found these covers, and I've never heard of these books. I have heard of the author, I'd never heard of these books, and I've only read a novella by this author. But whilst I was researching the covers that Larry Rostand had done, I came across these ones, and they were too beautiful not to add to my collection. So I now have the first 3 in the Glamorist Histories, which are Shades of Milk and Honey, which is the first one, and this is by Mary Robinette Cowell. Glamour in Glass, which is the second one, and finally the third one, Without a Summer, which is the real reason I wanted to pick up this series, because the third one is by far my favourite of the 3. I believe there might even be more than just these 3, there might be a 4th and a 5th as well, but these are the only ones I picked up for the moment. They're all fairly short books, like none of them is particularly long, and they're all about the same size, so I definitely think I can get through this series pretty fast. And I'm very intrigued just because the covers are so beautiful and stunning. They're just really gorgeous, and I believe it's a kind of historical fiction with kind of fantasy elements added in. So I'm very excited to find out what this is all about. The first one on the back of it says, in Regency England, Jane Ellsworthy of Dorchester is a woman ahead of her time. Not only is Jane highly accomplished in the manipulation of glamour, plucking strands from the ether to create genteel, magical illusions. She is also ambitious for her art and dreams of being recognised as a serious glamourist of note in her own right, as men are permitted to. So it sounds like a kind of alternate England setting where glamour is a kind of magic system, and I really, really like the idea of this. It seems really easy to get into, it seems like a really cool idea. Mary Robinette Kowal is actually very good friends with Brandon Sanderson and released a book with him which is called Shadows Beneath, and I read that, really, really enjoyed it, really enjoyed the whole thing. I didn't love her novella in it that much, but it was definitely my second favourite after Brandon Sanderson's, so I am really interested in where she's going to take this story because it's much longer than a novella, and I thought she really had potential, so I'm very, very interested to finally pick up some of her work. Next I have The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. This one, again, largely a cover by, not so much for this cover, although I do really, really like this cover, more for the second and third one in the series, which I really, really, really like the covers of. N.K. Jemisin is another author whom I've heard very, very great things about, but again, have not picked up anything by her yet, so really interested to do so. On the back it says, "Gods and mortals, power and love, death and revenge, she will inherit them all. Yin Da is outcast from the barbarian north, but when her mother dies under mysterious circumstances, she is summoned to the majestic city of Sky, a palace above the clouds where the lives of gods and mortals intertwine. There, to her shock, Yin is named one of the potential heirs to the king, but the throne of the 100,000 kingdoms is not easily won, and Yin is thrust into a vicious power struggle with a pair of cousins she never knew she had." So it sounds pretty intense, it sounds like it will be a fun concept. I like the idea of a kind of sky palace, that sounds really cool. Obviously that's what is on the front cover. So again, really, really excited. And again, this one doesn't look too long, so that's lovely. Again, let me know if you have read this and what you thought of it if you have. Next, I have another one that was recommended to me by one of you guys, and that is Black Sun Rising, which is by Celia Friedman. I assume it's the first one in the Cold Fire series, because it says Cold Fire in the middle. And again, no idea what this is really about. I just picked it up because it happened to be on the website and I've just been recommended it. It's got a thing on the back by Tad Williams. Doesn't really mean much to me because I haven't read any of Tad Williams' stuff, though I do know he's a big name in fantasy, and on the back he says, "Prose that can shine like gemstones or cut like broken glass. If you haven't read her work, you need to do something about that right now." So that's high praise, even though I haven't read anything by him to know if I like him or not. That's still a great thing to see on the back of a book. The blurb says, "More than 1,000 years ago, Urna, a semistically active yet beautiful world, was settled by colonists from the far distant Earth. But the seemingly habitable planet was fraught with perils no one could have foretold. The colonists found themselves caught in a desperate battle for survival against the Fae, a terrifying natural force with the power to prey upon human minds itself, indiscriminately bringing dreams and nightmares to life." So it kind of sounds like a bit of a sci-fi, also a bit of a fantasy with Fae and new planets and colonisation, so I'm not sure what it will be, but it sounds interesting. I like the idea of fairies. I haven't really read much with the Fae in, so I'm interested. My interest is definitely piqued by this, and I will definitely pick this up at some point in the future. Next, I have a book by Naomi Novik, another one who is a very famous author and I have not read yet. This is Temerae, which is the first one in her Temerae series. I adore this cover. I really, really love this cover. This kind of oldie-worldy style. It's just beautiful, so love it. Plus it's got a dragon on the front, which is always good. I love dragons. People already know this, but I'm going to say it anyway. And on the back, the first line is "Soar on the wings of adventure," which to me indicates dragons. So come on, dragons! Captain Will Lawrence has been at sea since he was just 12 years old. Rising on merit to captain his own vessel, Lawrence has earned himself a beautiful fiancée, society's esteem and a golden future, but the war is not going well. It seems Britain can only wait as Napoleon plans to invade. After a skirmish with a French ship, Lawrence finds himself in charge of a rare cargo, a dragon egg bound for the Emperor himself. Dragons are much prized. Properly trained, they can mount a fearsome attack from the skies. One of Lawrence's men must take the beast in hand and join the Avatar's cause, thus relinquishing all hope of a normal life. So dragons, dragon eggs, ships, pirates, wars, Napoleon, alternate history, what more could you want? And it's quite short, so I'm interested to see how developed everything will be because it is such a short story. So Really excited for this one. The next two books that I have are by Brandon Sanderson. One of them I have already read and one of them I have yet to read, and it's the only Sanderson book I have yet to read, so super excited about these two. The first one that I have is one I read last year, I believe, which is Alloy of Law, and this is the fourth one in the Mistborn series. It's kind of a strange one because the Mistborn series has the first three books as a trilogy, and then this one is the first one in another trilogy set in the same world but many years in the future. So we have a different cast of characters, but the world and the magic is still very similar to that of the original Mistborn trilogy. And this one follows Wax and Wayne, who are some very funny characters and have a great little banter between the two of them. It's really cool. I would highly recommend the Mistborn series generally. I would highly recommend Sanderson generally, but I just picked this one up because it was one of the few that I didn't have in my collection, and I saw it on the website really cheap and thought, why not? So I now have this one to add to my collection back at home and put on my shelf and display and look beautiful. Which means that the other Brandon Sanderson book that I finally have picked up, and is the last one and the one that I'm very excited about, is the complete collection of Alcatraz. I think the fifth one comes out either later this year or next year, I can't quite remember, it might be 2016, and I'm super excited about this. It's the first four in the Alcatraz series, and this is the UK edition, which is the one I've been having such difficulty finding because Waterstones do not stock this edition, or at least the Waterstones near me do not stock this edition, and online it was super expensive, like £15–16, and I just didn't want to pay that right now because I didn't have the money for it. So when I found this super cheap second-hand on the Amazon marketplace, I just went for it, grabbed it up, and this is in perfect condition, like so beautiful. So yeah, I cannot wait. This is actually Brandon Sanderson's children's series, one of them, and I'm super excited because I've heard that there is some really great humour in this one, and I'm really intrigued to find out what is going to happen and who Alcatraz is and what this story is about. I've heard great things from people about this, and I want to finish it so I can say that I've read everything by Sanderson. It's gonna be good. And I'm just super happy that I have like another 700 odd pages of Sanderson's writing to tide me over, because this is a humongous book. I did not imagine it being this big when I ordered it, but I'm super happy that it is because that's really crazy cool. The next two books are ones that I actually bought at full price, and that for me is quite a novelty. I don't usually buy books at full price unless they're new releases. I tend to get a lot of my books either second-hand or a bit reduced when they're in the sale, but these two I just had to pick up because I read The Way of Shadows by Brent Weeks last week as part of Ribsat, the read-along, and I just loved it so much. It just was amazing. I gave it 5 stars, so I had to straight away rush out and get these ones because I needed them, and they are obviously the second and the third one in the Night Angel trilogy, which is Shadow's Edge is the second one and Beyond the Shadows is the third one. This is a trilogy about assassins, it's about fighting, it's about kind of discovering yourself. It's just so great, it's really action-packed. There's a lot of suspense and a lot of plot twists that are just really amazing. And I just have heard such wonderful things about book 2 and 3. People have said that they have cried and all sorts of things. The first one was actually recommended to me by James from Eagles Books, and I have to thank him profusely because I loved it so much, and I cannot wait to read book 2 and 3 very soon in the future. I have no doubt that these will be happening soon, and then I will move on to his other series after that. I have no doubt that Brent Weeks is actually one of my new favourite authors, so highly anticipating these two, and I cannot wait to see where the story of Kyla goes in the future. Next I have a children's or YA book, and that is The House of Silk, which is by Anthony Horowitz. I love Anthony Horowitz, I just have a connection with him. I love his writing style, he's just really funny. He is the author of the Alex Rider series, which I really adore, and just, yeah, he's great as an author. So when I heard that he had been doing a kind of spin-off series of the Sherlock Holmes books, I just wanted to pick this up, and I've been seeing the second one, Moriarty, all over the place recently. It's got a beautiful cover, as has this one, which is House of Silk, the first one. So I just wanted to pick this up, it's quite short, and see what it's all about, because I love his writing style and I don't doubt that I will enjoy this when I get to it. Next, I picked up the second one in the Ketty J series, which is The Black Lung Captain, and this is by Chris Wooding. I haven't actually read the Ketty J series, the first one, but I do have the first one, which is Retribution Falls, and I really wanted to get the second one as well because I want to read them kind of back to back when I get to them, because I've heard that is a great way to do it, and I've heard that they are really, really fun books about sky pirates. So yeah, Michael from Bitten by a Radioactive Book has recommended these to me and many others multiple times. I also think that Brock has just recently picked the first one up, so hopefully I will be doing a buddy read with some of them in the future for this series at some point. I don't know when, but I am really, really anticipating it because I know that it's going to be a good series and it's going to be fun, because Michael has talked about it and said how much he enjoyed it, and I seem to have quite similar taste to him. As always, if any of these books are books that you have and you haven't got around to yet, and you want to do a buddy read with me, then leave down below that you want to do a buddy read with me. We can chat about it, we can do stuff like that, and it will be so much fun. So do let me know if there are any of these books you particularly want to join in with, and I will try and make that happen if I know that I'm going to be reading it soon. The next book, which is the last physical book that I have, and then I also have some ebooks to show you guys, but this one is a humongous one as well, Humongosaurus, and this one is a book that I had meant to pick up for years, literally years. I was recommended this ages and ages ago. Can't even remember who by now, it was way before I started BookTube or anything. But it is the Chronicles of the Black Company, which is by Glenn Cook, and I believe that this is the first 3 in that series. So the Black Company, Shadows Linger and the White Rose are all in this giant volume. I've just heard really, really wonderful things about this series, and I really don't know. I think it is a kind of darker fantasy series. The cover is really intriguing. It's got a woman here in the middle and then these 2 shadowy figures either side. It just looks creepy and dark and scary and interesting. On the back there is actually a quote from Stephen Erickson, who is the writer of The Gardens of the Moon, which is what I just read, and he says, "With the Black Company series, Glenn Cook single-handedly changed the face of fantasy, something a lot of people didn't notice and maybe still don't. He brought the story down to a human level, dispensing with the cliché archetypes of princes, kings and evil sorcerers." It sounds like he really likes it. The blurb says that this is one of the greatest fantasy epics of the age, and it says, "Darkness wars with darkness as the hard-bitten men of the Black Company take their pay to do what they must. They bury their doubts with their dead. Then comes the prophecy. The White Rose has been reborn somewhere to embody good once more." So it sounds really dark, really spooky, really creepy. I'm just interested in this one because I do believe that a lot of people consider this as a kind of flagship book for fantasy and one of the older fantasies for sure. I'm just really excited for this one, so I don't know when I'll get to this because I would like to read probably all 3 of them back to back if I enjoy it, which means that it's a pretty intensely long book, because this one it's just over 700 pages, but the writing is pretty small and there are 3 books in here, and it's a very large book, so hopefully I will get to this year, but I don't know exactly when, probably a little bit later in the year, maybe the second half. But if any of you guys have this book or want to start it, then do let me know and I can probably arrange that with people in the future. Okay, ebooks. I just recently picked up The Final Empire, and if you watch out for my video on Monday, then you will see why I picked up The Final Empire when I already have it, but I picked it up as an ebook, and this is the first one in the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson, so definitely watch out for that video on Monday telling you guys exactly why I picked that up, but I won't go into any more detail on that just yet. I also picked up King of Thorns, which is the second one in the Broken Empire trilogy, which is by Mark Lawrence, because I have read the first one a while ago and I just wanted to move on with the series, so I'm super excited and I'm currently reading that. I just recently picked up The Magician King, which is the second one in the Magicians series by Lev Grossman. I picked this up because we are planning to read The Magicians from tomorrow, and I'm really excited about it and I think I'm going to like it, so I picked up the second one so that I can join in with the read-along for the second book in February. Super excited for those 2 books. I picked up The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton because I have seen this floating around all over BookTube. People absolutely seem to love it. The cover is stunning, it's really, really beautiful, and it was like £1 on the Kindle store, so I just had to get it when I saw it. I really don't know very much about this. I know that it's kind of to do with someone who makes like miniatures or small dollhouse pieces and things like that, I believe. I don't think it's too long, so I should be able to get through it fairly easily, but we shall see on that one. And again, if anyone wants to buddy read that, do let me know. I also picked up The Thousand Names, which is by Django Wexler, because I've heard very good things about this series and I would like to find out if I like it as well. The last Flintlock fantasy that I read was The Promise of Blood, which is by Brian McClellan. I wasn't a huge fan of that. I liked bits of it, I didn't like other bits, so I'm very interested to see if this one will be a better Flintlock fantasy and one that I enjoy more, or if I'm just not a big fan of Flintlock in general, because I couldn't really say just having read one book. So I'm very excited to read that at some point, and I plan on probably reading that either in February or March. I will let you guys know when I put up my February TBR, and if it's in there then I'll be reading it. Otherwise I think it will probably be March, so yes, I'm very excited for that one as well. I also picked up Half a King because I am supposed to be doing a buddy read of this one in February, and I needed to get the book so I could do that because I believe the second one, Half a World, actually comes out in February around the middle of the month as well, so we are all planning to do a read on Half a King and then on Half a World when that comes out as well, so I needed to pick that one up so that I had the book to read. So I think that is all of the books that I have recently picked up and hauled. That is an awful lot, and I know that is an awful lot, and I don't know how I've managed to pick them all up, but I got nearly all of these books for less than £30, which to me is very, very impressive. As always, let me know which of the books that I've shown you would like me to read very soon. If you want to do buddy reads, do let me know that as well. If you have the books and you've read them, what did you think of them? Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little chat about the